I'm Becca Smith, a solution architect at NetGain. I'm a CPA and started my career at Deloitte in their business tax service group. My legendary co-host, Chris Miller, is our VP of product strategy at NetGain. He was at NetSuite for over 6 years, solutioning with some of their largest enterprise clients. He's a CPA and has served in roles such as controller, director of finance, and CFO. So let's jump in and tackle today's topic. Well, welcome to SC Corner. We are Chris Miller and Becca Smith, and we're going to be talking about SuiteWorld today because that is coming up.
Yeah, pretty exciting. I've been to every SuiteWorld but one from the very beginning.
Crazy.
So always looking forward to getting to go again.
Yes, and I've been to 2 SuiteWorlds, so much less. But they've been very educational and lots going on at them both times, so it's been really fun.
Yeah, it's a great time. I think it's not only is it great for a learning experience and getting to meet customers, but then you really get a sense of what NetSuite's trying to accomplish. What sometimes you almost feel like you're part of something bigger, and it becomes a really neat thing.
Yeah, because it always starts off with like the really big presentation where they go over anything new that NetSuite has like released in the past year and anything that they're planning to release, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's actually interesting because reconciliation specifically, I remember seeing at SuiteWorld last year, and then they just released that within the last couple months. So just kind of interesting seeing how NetSuite is growing.
Yeah, no, it is. It's funny. And in the early days, it changed. They used to do before Oracle bought us, it became kind of like the big investor. NetSuite is a public company. So they would always, Zach would always do on day one, like kind of the investor presentation. What's NetSuite? And I'll never forget, we were at the first one, and my one of my coworkers, he was the controller for one part of ClearChoice, and I was the other. And we went and he elbowed me, and he's like, "You know what I'm learning from this?" And he was like, "What?" He's all, "We're paying NetSuite way too much money." Because he saw, because Zach was talking about the profitability and the revenue growth, and it was funny. That's what he took from it. So
he's like, "Wait, if they're making that much money, then they're making too much off us."
Yeah, he's all they got way too much from us. So it was pretty funny. That was his big takeaway from SuiteWorld number one.
Because when did they start doing SuiteWorld?
Let's see. It was, I want to say it was 2012 was the first one. So there was one SuiteWorld, and the very first one I went to as a customer, and the way we ended up going was they called us, and they said, "Hey, are you guys going to SuiteWorld?" And we were kind of like, "Well, we were thinking about it, but we weren't sure we were going to go." And they said, "Well, you won an award." And then, of course, I said, "Well, of course I'm going."
Got to accept the award.
It was a shallow, but no, it was. As it turned out, John Walton, our CFO, and then Richard, our controller, the three of us ended up going out. They had internally looked at everything, and they had this award they called the Hairball Award, which basically was who was the messiest implementation and thing that they had. Because at ClearChoice, we were on Great Plains, and we had taken. Because the legal structure for medical entities was so convoluted, we had like 96 different instances or companies that had been created in there. And so what we did is we moved all of that into NetSuite, and NetSuite even themselves didn't think they could do it. At the time, they would tell you could only put 50 subsidiaries in, and then we kind of surprised them almost, and they're like, "Uh-oh." And then they're like, "All right, we're gonna try this, no promises." And it worked out great. And so, it was kind of cool.
Test the system, and it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And they, they came through, and it was, it's amazing how much smaller, how different it was. Because at the first one, there were like 2 or 3 things that I remember. The first was we actually had dinner at Zach Nelson's house, so it was really awesome. He invited people over, and we got to talk to him, and then I, in the first one, Zach was, he mentioned that like he would never do a user conference because he was in charge of the user conference for Oracle when he worked for Oracle under Larry Ellison. He was the head of marketing. So he's like, I swore I'd never do this. And then they kind of talked him into it. And so he's like, here we are. And at that first event, it seemed like NetSuite employees outnumbered you 2-1 from visitors. It's a far different, just incredibly different now.
Yeah.
My favorite thing from the first one is I got invited to go to this analyst event.
Okay.
And so they were like, maybe it was the second one. Maybe it was 1 or 2. I forget. But anyway, they were like, Chris, you're our I don't know, ringer's not the right word, but like you're our customer reference. So next thing you know, I'm at Larry Ellison's house with all of the industry analysts, and basically I'm answering all these questions about NetSuite. They're like, oh, you're the corporate guru. It was really a funny thing. So they were talking about it, and then they had a guy from the Food Network making food. And it was really cool. And then and then I had 4 kids at the time. They were like, I had 4
Little.
under 4, so 4 and under. So I teased my wife out because I called her and I was like, Nancy, you're not going to believe this. Like, I'm in Larry Ellison's house, like overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge. And I said, they got some guy from the Food Network making food for us right now. And she said, well, we're having macaroni and cheese, and hung up on me. So I learned from there, it was like, from then on trips, food stinks, people stink,
Nothing's fun.
Nothing's fun, and certainly not amazing. So it was pretty funny. So it was a good time.
Well, that's awesome. SuiteWorld's definitely different now, I feel like.
It is.
So I guess, was the point of SuiteWorld always to just connect with customers? Or, because I feel like now so much of SuiteWorld is about learning about NetSuite, as well as like seeing the partners and meeting the partners, that you can like see what add-ons and what you could add to your NetSuite account.
Yeah, there's always been like 3 big things there. First and foremost, it did start out as like we wanted to teach customers about the people who are existing customers about NetSuite. So it really did kind of begin as like this user event. Like, how do we get people to know NetSuite better, to use the system better? In many ways, like a retention. And then in the early days too, it was also an investor day thing. So it was it was a time for Zach and Jim to talk to the investors, the investing world, the institutional investors, kind of get the message out. And then it grew, and I think for the better. Now SuiteWorld, I think, really does three different things. The first is the classes are way better. Like you'll go to a class now, and I'll sit in, and I learn things all the time, and I'm like, that was really a great class. In fact, I'll go to Suite Answers, and I'll pull up the presentations from stuff that I saw to kind of like remember. And I was like, these are way better than the presentations I used to give. But in those early days, they were very basic. Like, this is how you log in NetSuite, type things.
Now
they
do a lot of like deep dive.
Yeah. And that's like awesome. And then the second thing is it's become very much a customer acquisition. And I mean that in the best way. If you can get a customer to come to NetSuite, they will join to SuiteWorld. They'll join the NetSuite family, if you will, become a customer, because there's great energy there, and then you can kind of see all the things you can do. Because so many times you buy NetSuite and your entire NetSuite experience is kind of like this little tiny thing that you have in this little tiny in your kind of world, and you think, well, because the saying where fish discovers water last. That's a little bit what NetSuite users do. They don't know what's out there, and so it really expands your horizon. Well, if you're thinking about buying a system, it's tremendous for that.
So do they invite potential customers to
Oh, yeah.
to SuiteWorld a lot? Okay,
yeah,
I didn't
a lot.
realize that.
So I used to do meetings just almost exactly with that, meeting with potential customers who would come out and just see everything. So
are the SCs then meeting with potential customers a lot during SuiteWorld?
Yeah.
Okay, because we always have there's the big booth area for all the SCs in NetSuite.
Yeah.
Towards the back. I remember that.
So yeah, Becca, what would happen for the solution consultants is, I think it's changed over the years. I always went, and so what they would usually do is they would take, in the early days, they kind of grab who they thought their best demoers were, and we'd be working the demo pods, and got all kinds of stories for that when we want to get there. They were always fun, and it's funny how that worked, because the idea of the demo pods are usually for people to come up, and that became what new prospects would go. So the idea was you bring people by and you'd show them NetSuite and be an easy one. Never was that. The typical thing I would get was, hey, the NetSuite gurus sent me over to you. They said you may be able to answer this. I've asked support. I've asked every partner, and I've asked.
So these are current customers.
Yeah,
with
current customers.
And deep problems.
Yes, and they're and everyone says no one can. This problem can't be fixed. So they said to come see you. What do I do? And I'd be like, well, let me just log into my demo account here in front of 20 people, and we'll
see if we can figure it out.
We'll solve the problem for you.
Were you able to solve the problem?
There were a few I did, and then there were some where I'd be like, I don't know what to do here, or you've got a big one. But it was almost always that. It was. We used to joke that it was not demo to new customers. It was corner an SC and pelt them with all of the questions that I've been wanting to ask someone for the last year. So it was all
fun.
the pin up stuff. So those are kind of the fun things. I think actually last year we did, as a partner. I think because we had a lot of new products, I think a lot of people were in that thing. I expect you'll get quite a bit of that this year, Becca, where someone will be like, how does this work in NetLease?
Well, I remember even getting it a little bit last year. People would come up and they'd be like, okay, we've been talking to our implementation team, but you're the SC, so I'd like to talk to you about it and see if they can get a different answer, basically.
Yeah.
And so then you try to come up with one.
But, yeah, exactly. That'll be the fun, the fun of it. And so, and then, so apart from training and then that, if I was an existing customer, you just get to see the trade shows. Actually really awesome. Like every year I do two things. One's probably good, one's probably embarrassing, but every year I go through the whole thing and I try to learn from, if I see anything interesting or anything like that, I'll talk to them and, just trying to learn what it is that they're doing and understand that. And
the booths, right?
Yep, at the booths.
Yeah.
And so when I ran the Finance Center of Excellence, of course, everyone was like, oh, Chris, what does it take to get you to recommend us or something? And so I go through and kind of learn everything I could. And then because I had five kids under 6, they were like, Dad, get us stuff. So I learned that on that Thursday morning, you just go by and you just scrape all the booths of the junk and take it home, and the kids think it's awesome because on day one, everybody's holding onto their trinkets they're made of gold. You're not going to get my...
Unless you sign up for something.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to get my pin or my $2 T-shirt unless you give me something. But by day 4, they're just... I don't even care who you are. Just take all this stuff so I don't have to drive it home. So that's usually when I strike. So
I like it. Yeah, I definitely last year they had the booth or the claw machines with the little dolls that they were giving out. And so I definitely got one for my husband because it was fun.
Oh, those are good. And so that's kind of the fun piece. The other thing that happens at SuiteWorld is this is the only time that people are ever truly together. You see whole teams together. Us as partners, we'll see people at NetSuite that we have only not talked to since last SuiteWorld. It is amazing. And this amazed me from the very first SuiteWorld. The NetSuite people, there's this culture where they're very open. So I didn't know Zach Nelson or Jim McGeever or any of the people I had no idea I'd be working for them and I'd know them. But like on the very first one, it was, they spent time with us. They were really, really great. And they would do that with like, everybody from us as we were one of their best customers to, I remember some guy cornering Zach telling about his new app he was going to make, at that same party. And it was like, oh, get me out of here. But they were great about it. And, that's still gone through today. You can walk through and you can see Sam Levy, you can see Evan, you can see all the executives, and they're still out there, talking to the customers, employees, or like really keeping this thing. And I think that's a great thing, because when I worked there at NetSuite, kind of before going out on my own as a partner, that was what I actually loved about NetSuite the most, was that sense of community. And it's really kind of on display at SuiteWorld.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, I feel like the SuiteWorlds I've been at, it's been so helpful to be able to be like face to face with clients. And like you get people from all over the world as well, right? You have the clients from Australia that you're never going to be able to see normally on the day to day. And then you get to actually sit down with them and work through things in person. So there's definitely a value add that I've seen from being able to have that face to face contact at SuiteWorld.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great, and so it's and I kind of really enjoy being on the other side here. So, all my years until, these last couple of years have been at the SuiteWorld booth or doing that. But it's like, it's actually been a lot. I thought
now you're on the partner side.
Yeah, now I'm on the partner side. And it was actually a lot of fun last year, kind of teaching people about, what NetGain does. I don't know about you, but I thought the SuiteWorld thing was actually a lot of fun. It was cool getting to do that.
And we're doing that again this year. We're going to have the high roller on Tuesday. So anybody can sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. The high roller is here to stay. So definitely we want people to do that. And that's kind of a, even when Adam and I were talking about that, there were these fun NetSuite SuiteWorld traditions that were there, and they kind of moved as they moved. And that's why we were like thinking, what could we create to be something that people look forward to every year? And that's kind of what we hope to make the high roller into, is something that people check it off. Get my high roller tickets for SuiteWorld is something they look forward to.
That's cool. So SuiteWorld used to have a lot of their own events that were like that.
Yeah, they sure did. There were a lot for customers, but they would have like, there would be dinners that they would host. There were almost always activities. And
they probably still do those, actually.
Yeah, there are probably some. And
we're on the partner side, so we don't necessarily go.
We're dead to them now. So they're they're like, you're not invited anymore. So it was, but no, I think they do that, and I think there's people that do. They're like, okay, we're going to this or this, and they look forward to it. So
good. Yeah. So I guess being on the partnership side, I guess, what's the best way to interact with the SCs? Do you feel like what's our?
Oh yeah. As far as the,
or I guess what benefit could SCs get from interacting with us?
Sure. I would hope that any solution consultant, not just from NetSuite, but if you're working with your partner, MHI or RSM or any of these other, I know I'm forgetting 50 of you. So I mean, no offense, absolutely. Just that's who popped in my head. But if you're at any partner in NetSuite, if you're an independent consultant, come on over, because there are two things that you get from it. The first thing is you get to learn specifically what we're doing from products. And we have things that are really, really relevant to what NetSuite is going to be speaking about. So you take the big acquisition or release this year of the Oracle EPM suite. Last year, it was AP automation and planning and budgeting cloud. Well, this year, the big EPM suite piece they're releasing is NetSuite account reconciliation, which is, kind of getting into a piece in the close. Well, if you're looking and saying, okay, I need to learn more about close or even reconciliations, we have a lot of products that focus on the close, everything around reconciliations, and then also some recs. You can come and learn to see how that works and see, well, would NSAR play? where would net close be ideal? But that's across like all things. We don't have the ASC 842, the lease accounting kind of boogeyman saying everyone's got to get online. But now what we have is the second year is SCs are going to start hearing a different set of questions. They're going to not hear, oh, I got to do my lease thing. Now they're going to hear, my auditor said my lease accounting sucked. What do I do now?
I had a huge pain point here.
Or at each pain point,
It's super manual. It takes forever. Do you have anything inside of NetSuite to help with this?
That's exactly it. So the conversation will change a little bit and actually be a little more sophisticated because everybody now is on the standard. It's not just, I need this standard thing. It's going to be like, this is what's bothering me about the standard. SCs can come and learn about exactly that and how we're like, hey, this is the solution to your problem. In two ways. If you're direct sales, that affects your win probabilities. So you want to build the best package with the fewest number of partners to raise your win probability. If you're an AMO SC, where a lot of them come to SuiteWorld, now you can see it's important when you're looking at the retention. Yes, you want upsell and there's opportunities, but we also want to see, well, where can we solve the customer's pain point while still, perhaps
higher
increasing
chance of retention and less pain points.
Yeah. And you can still find upsell, say, an increased license use or things like that. So we can talk about strategies for that, both win probabilities on the direct side, and then also how we can actually help, find the upsell or cross-sell that you're looking for if you're on the AMO side. The other thing that you get when you go to the SuiteWorld is I can't tell you how many smart people there are like in the NetSuite world. And I will see something. I'm trying to think of a good example, but I will go and I will see something that a partner has done, like in a product, and I'll think that's a great idea. That what they just made there, I didn't really think we could do that. It could be something small as like I look at it and be like, they have a script that calculates something or does something, or they've made some sort of UI element, or they've got some sort of process or this magnificent report. And I'll be like, I'll fall away and not to plagiarize it, but to be like, over here in my world, now I know something I didn't that I could say, oh, I can apply that. And you start kind of doing that
kind of expand your toolbox of like what you can create by seeing what other people are able to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, the third thing probably, Becca, is like someone like your mind or my mind as we walk by. Sometimes you will go and you will see a third-party app and know that, and you'll think, that belongs in NetSuite, and you start thinking, you can't help but start thinking, okay, I'll do this and this and this. And before you know it, product shows up, that meets the customer's need, that could be better, where they could be better served in having that inside a NetSuite than outside. We feel really strongly that a lot of the close process belongs inside of NetSuite, where the data is and where the people who are responsible for closing the books and responsible for the data is, that should be in the system. It makes little sense to export it out to another system, do all your work, and then put whatever changes you did in, and then certify that these two pieces are good when it could all be done in the one system. And so, that's those kinds of ideas come to you at SuiteWorld sometimes.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. I love this entire conversation. I think it's been really cool just to hear about a little bit of the history of SuiteWorld, kind of where it comes from, as well as like what we can get out of SuiteWorld in the coming weeks when we go. I guess trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about with SuiteWorld.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I love to hear from you, Becca. We have different perspectives, and I've been at them all. I'm an old guy. I kind of look at one thing. But there's a lot of SCs. You've been in the industry, 2-3 years now. You're building your career. What do you think? What would you like to get out of SuiteWorld? And kind of what do you think? Because there's a myriad of solution consultants kind of in the very same kind of career path and growing. You'll see a lot of them while you're there. What would you like to get?
Yeah, I mean, I guess for me, it's a lot about the learning. I totally agree with everything you said, right? I think being able to see the interesting solutions that other people come up with can help spark your own imagination and just help you become a better SE in general of knowing what's out there and what's possible. I think kind of expanding your list of different partners that you know about. Like, I think definitely walking around makes a huge difference in just being able, I mean, I know last year, just even as a net gain, like we get asked about additional suite apps all the time.
Yeah.
And so like I went and I did some demos with a couple other companies because I was like, I know Celico, but I want to see how that actually works in their product. And so being able to speak to that intelligently, like on my side, just makes us come off as more competent.
Yeah.
As well as just kind of also helps solidify those relationships, because if someone comes to me and they say, hey, I need something for this, I can give them an example or a client as well.
You know, that's a great example.
So
really
that's
is.
something that, I really think is so helpful as a takeaway. I also just really like being able to establish relationships in general, like we were talking about with the clients, and then also just the SCs. Like, I didn't really talk to the SC boost last year, but I think it could be helpful just getting to know some of the people over there. So, I don't know. I don't know how you facilitate some of those conversations because everyone's so busy the entire time. And it's hard to like balance being at the booth versus walking around and learning and going to the classes.
Yeah, it is. I think you'll find the more years you're in it, and maybe this will probably even be one, is if you go over the NetSuite booth, you'll kind of be walking around and you'll see name tags or hear names and you'll be like, oh, we know each other.
We work together.
I know your Zoom picture, you know, and that becomes.
I expect that'll happen more this year because I've been working with NetSuite.
Exactly. So I think that'll kind of grow and it'll make it really easy. You know, you'll probably go down. I'd probably go down to the NetSuite path there and just kind of mingle and get to know everybody. You'll be amazed how many people you know, or they'll say, "Oh, I don't know you, but you worked with my." You know, my colleague, you know, on the same team, and I've been wanting to talk to you. So,
well, and it always makes me laugh when I see people because they go, "Oh, you're the girl from all the videos on the website," because I've recorded a lot of our like demo videos. So I feel like people come up to me recognizing me sometimes, which always makes me laugh.
Yeah, no, it is. You're
the
famous.
Random blonde girl.
Yeah, you're NetSuite famous.
No, not yet. You are NetSuite famous.
No,
but
no, that's funny. That's awesome though. But that's a great way where people will know it. So it's exciting. Well, SuiteWorld for everybody is, at the time we're recording this, about 2 weeks away, right? It's the 16th through the
19th.
19th. All right. It'll be great, and we'll look forward to seeing you there.
We are excited. Okay. See you guys there. All right. Well, I'm Becca Smith, and I've been joined by Chris Miller. Thanks for listening to SC Corner. You can listen to us on any of your preferred streaming services, or you can always look up our products at netgain.tech.